The important thing to remember in meditating is that if you are watching the mind and its restlessness, you are the watcher. You are not the mind. So it doesn't matter what the mind is doing. It cannot affect the watcher unless you have expectations that the mind will be quiet. The mind is restless. That's its nature. It's comprised of memory from the past and worries about the future. Instead of trying to rid yourself of those thoughts, let them come and go as the sounds come and go. Don't care what the mind is presenting, and it will gradually fall away. Be moving ashrams, meaning that this lovely atmosphere and the way you're feeling now can affect others in the world just by your presence. But for that, we have to be living meditatively, which means to be awake, which means to be aware of others' feelings, of not only how we are being affected, but how we might be affecting others. One of the great tenets of yoga is nonviolence. And that's not only physical violence, that's violence by speech, violence by thought. I often remind people that teasing, sarcasm, forms of violence. Any child will tell you that when you're teasing and they don't understand that you're teasing, they don't know the meaning of that word. Little children, they feel that hurts. They don't know what you're laughing about because you're saying something that hurts them. And they learn to recognize that teasing is cruel, and they will begin to use it as a weapon if we're using it on them. So there are many forms of violence, and the worst is the mental that we carry around. So I took a peek at some of the questions, and surprise, surprise, most of them about the mind. What a surprise. In fact, I was reading them, few, and all of a sudden, Karana began to chant before most of you came in. And I looked at her, and I closed my eyes, and I put the questions back, and just decided to listen to Karana and take the questions later. Easy choice, whether to consider questions about the mind or just relax and listen to Karana. You'll have choices like that. Always listen to Karana. She'll be with you. You won't easily forget Karana. Karana is not only our compassionate mother at the ashram. She's one of our mothers. Her name means compassion, but she's one of our senior Sanskrit teachers. And they learned directly from Guruji. So when they chant, It's like nectar coming from their mouths, like honey. I was trying to send all the flies over there, but they didn't seem to catch that fragrance from my position. So I thought, since many of you like tradition so much, you've been coming here for the silent retreats year after year. More than half this group is comprised of those people who keep coming back. You'll see, you'll miss this more after you go home. Then you'll look back at it fondly and say how lovely it was. You'll forget all about the inconvenience. You'll forget about, I don't even want to remind you of what you should forget about. It's probably better I don't. I'm an old-timer. I avoid those traps. But one of the things we do traditionally is to read on Sunday mornings from I Am That. For those who do not know I Am That, it is a book comprised of questions and answers, questions given to a great master, Sri Nisargadatta Maharaj, who's very popular. He's passed away, left his body in 1984, I believe. But one of the reasons people are so impressed by him is that he had no education to speak of. He had possibly 4 or 5 years, not even equivalent to a high school graduate. But after spending no more than 9 months, 3 months, 3 months every year for 3 months, he began to speak as a scholar. You'll hear there's very little difference between Sri Brahmananda and Krishnamurti and this great enlightened being. After his enlightenment, he was receiving all the time from the universe. These flies are wonderful. You know, the flies, first of all, they remind me of having been in India and what I didn't like about India, because they had, everywhere I turned, a new species of bug. And I won't tell you further details about that, but those memories, and it was 1998, of where I saw those bugs and my reaction to those bugs are so equated with India that it's the one thing that keeps me from being disappointed that I couldn't go back again. Those bugs. And you'll use your imagination in the places where they should not be. Should not be. No more. However, it did give me a thought today, because one of the questions I received, which I'll be reading again out loud soon today, was asking what to do with the thoughts that keep disturbing. What to do with that? How to get rid of that restlessness in the mind? Well, how did we get rid of the fly? Some of you said you were bothered too, right? What did you do? You didn't kill it. I was watching carefully. That would not have been a very good thing to do, to kill the fly, because then all the relatives would come to the funeral. Not good. But what you did was brush it away, and sometimes you were so engrossed in what you were hearing, you just let it be there on the head or on your lap or something, or even buzzing around the ear. But as many times as a fly came over, I saw you brushed it away. If you were watching me, you'll continue to see me brushing it away. As many times as these thoughts come, you just move away from it. You can't brush the thought away, but you can move away. Or not care. Or not care. Sri Ramana Maharshi, one of the greatest enlightened beings the world has ever known, was sitting in a cave, in a trance, meditating. And the snakes would come in and dance around him, the cobras. People were afraid to go in, seeing those snakes, but there was nothing for them to react to, the snakes, because he was in that sweet frequency, as if he were a flower sitting in the cave. The snakes wouldn't attack a flower. He was in his most natural condition. The rats would come around, because there were some crumbs left over from food that the sweet devotees were pressing into his mouth to keep him alive, because he was beyond even need of food. He was in his own ecstatic state. But the only thing that really came were the mosquitoes, because he was so sweet. Everything about him was emitting this beautiful fragrance, as if he were a flower. And so the mosquitoes couldn't resist. He was like honey. But he was totally unaware of it. He was so absorbed in that state beyond description. So I thought I would just take a few questions and a great enlightened being's response to get us in the mood for looking into what are the obstacles in our way of being where he is, where he's unaffected by things going on in the world. Questioner, what makes us progress? Maharaj, you love this answer. What makes us progress? Maharaj, silence is the main factor. In peace and silence, you grow. Now, I could stop reading right here, and you could go home with just that question and answer and know how to live the rest of your life. That's how they are, these wise men. That's how they know. He could have said anything. What makes us progress? Inauthentic teachers would have given us rules and regulations and disciplines. And we would have tried and struggled and made an effort. And the ego would have become larger and larger. And here is an answer from an enlightened being. What makes us progress? Silence is the main factor. In peace and silence, you grow. Questioner, but the mind is so absolutely restless. For quieting it, what's the way? How do you do it? Maharaj, trust the teacher. Trust the teacher. And he means that inaguru. What is your intuitive knowledge? I was reading those questions. Instantly I heard Karana's voice. And I didn't have to think about it. I knew to be in the best condition to answer questions, I should just get rid of all those words and thoughts and just listen to Karana. And I felt much better. I'm ready for anything. So if you have a question, this is a good time. Thanks to Karana. She was my help today. She was my guru today. just by chanting. He says, trust the teacher. Take my own example, my own case. This is Sri Nisargadatta. My guru ordered me to attend to the sense I am and to give attention to nothing else. That means walking around today and yesterday, although the thoughts were going on sometimes at some moments for every one of you, you felt the thoughts a little apart from you. They didn't seem to be related to you. You were more with the sun and that blue sky and the cool breeze that came and the honking of the geese occasionally, or the beautiful sight of the geese on the calm lake. The lake was beautiful. Pond, it's really man-made lake in a sense. But the beauty of this ashram is too much even for the restless mind. It tried to get our attention, but nature was more compelling. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Because if it happened to me, I knew it was happening to you. Because I was picking up a lot of things from you. I was feeling that some of you had not been in touch with memories for a long time that were now surfacing and causing ripples in the mind, sadness. But that happens. They surface and then they go. If you don't care about them, if your only concern is to be peaceful and silent, then it makes sense for you to dismiss the thoughts as being just in the way of what you need. But that has to be your conviction. You have to be absolutely sure that it's only your mind that is preventing you from being happy. It has nothing to do with people in your life. They come and go like the flies, you know? They're not always bothering you. But if you let them always bother you, then they're victorious over you. Most of the time, they've done something wrong, right? It's not us. Couldn't be us. They've done something wrong. But if they did something wrong and we were right, why are they happy and we are miserable? How come? They're fine. I look at them, they're very happy. But they were so bad, so nasty, so insensitive, and we were so good and so kind to them. We never gave them any reason for being so cruel. Then why am I crying? And they're smiling. So who's the enemy here? They're all right, they forgot about everything. But we're the sensitive ones. It's up to us how long we carry these sad movies around in our mind. Enjoy them when they happen. We love sad movies. We loved the film yesterday, especially when it was sad and made us cry. But we weren't going to just keep remembering that sadness for the rest of the weekend. Let's carry that over into our life. It's up to us because we won't grow if there's only noise. If there's only noise and restlessness. So let's take care of ourselves. That's what we're learning to do on these weekends. When I first was asked to offer these retreats, which was about 18 years ago, shortly after Sri Brahmananda's passing. He passed and came back, his Mahasamadhi. I gave it some thought, and I said, well, shall we be like those austere monks? Would you like that? To come to this retreat? And nobody was talking. and no dog was barking, and no sound equipment was going off, and no geese were honking, and no Deepak and Anirban playing for us. Is that the kind of retreat? I said, well, maybe if we have a long retreat one day, because we once had a 5-day retreat, and it was different from the 2.5-day retreat, because we had time to get into that deep stillness. But I said 2 days, no, it would be too much of a shock after 2 days to go from absolute silence back into the world. I might never see you again if I did that to you. So I thought it would be best to have us or you in silence with some of the world around you going on, so the difference wasn't too great when you returned. And that's why there's some humor, there's some conflict, sometimes some problems, sometimes, so that you have still that taste of the world that will greet you tonight or tomorrow morning. I usually, I have to tell you, even though the ashram doesn't like me to say this, sometimes because I'm old and have gray hair, I can say things that the ashram doesn't like me to say. Don't take me this seriously. No. But I prefer that you do not stay over an extra day till tomorrow or even tonight, because I like you to go home with that stillness that has come. There is some stillness in you. If you go right back to socializing or even listening to socializing, and some gossip always goes on in organizations, talk about this one or that one. We have found from experience, those people who did stay over thinking, how nice to extend this into another day or two, that it was disturbing, because you've been protected. This retreat is designed to protect you. We've asked the staff, if they talk, keep away from you, so that your peace is undisturbed. The only thing that disturbs our peace is the mind when we're here at this ashram. But if you could see how different your faces look today from the way they looked yesterday, you would know it's already happening. It's already happening on some level. So although Karen is here and a couple of other people might be here who will tell on me that I said not to stay over, I say come back next weekend or the weekends after, but not to stay this weekend. I don't want you to lose that precious sense of a still you inside. This is not about not talking. I saw some people talking a little bit about something they needed in the office or something like that. Most of the people were writing notes. But that doesn't bother to say a word or two or a sentence. What we're interested in is having the experience of a witnessing mind instead of a thinking mind. Because if we're witnessing, it is impossible to be thinking at the same time. How many of you have discovered that this weekend or before? That when you witness, you're either witnessing or you're not. You're either the witness or the judge. Raise your hand. That's all you had to learn. Now you can go home. Okay. But seriously, it's all about thinking. It's not so much what the thinking is. Thinking is causing the problem. If we're witnessing, that doesn't mean we can function if we're witnessing. We function better because all the emotional blockages are not interfering. All the memories are not interfering. Even if you're an excellent typist, where your fingers are going automatically, if a powerful thought comes in, your fingers get out of whack. That's when you make mistakes. Because suddenly your whole being is caught up with that memory. But if we're in the habit, if we have the knack, it's a good habit to get into, to witness instead of judge, to witness even the thinking that's disturbing the witnessing. You just say, look at that, for 10 minutes, or 10 hours, or 10 years, or 10 lifetimes, I have not been away from thinking. And that's our training. We're taught to think by our parents, by our teachers, our educators, and it's good to think about things that are necessary to think about. But how often do we do that? And how often are we thinking unnecessarily? The end of the day, before you go into your sleep, you're lying on the bed. Just do what Sri Brahmananda said. Summarize your day. Go back over the day and see if you can find those few moments where you were doing some functional thinking that was going to result in a better life for you or a better life for others. And then consider how much time we were spending in thinking unnecessarily. Then you might have a little trouble falling asleep. But I would say, so what to that? There's always tomorrow. Just a fly, I'll brush it away. Just a fly. The main problem we have is that we're still interested in our thinking. We're still thinking about our thinking. And that's such a waste of time. Drop it all. I give you permission. Drop it all. It has worked for me. The mind goes in meditation, in my bed, keeps going, and I said, fine, keep quiet, go away. Just go away. And that's because I'm convinced it has nothing to say of value. Nothing at all. What it sees is of value. What it thinks about, what agent are we using to do the thinking? The problem maker. We're asking to solve the problem. That makes no sense. We cannot solve a problem on the same level where the problem began, on the mental level. It won't work that way. Our problems are solved by our intuitive wisdom, our intuitive knowledge. We know the answer to every problem. But we have to be in condition to see. He says, listen, I just obeyed my Guru. I did not follow any particular course of breathing, of meditation. I didn't even study the scriptures. Whatever happened, I would turn away my attention from it and just remain with that sense of I am. It's not a thought, it's your feeling, I am. The youngest person, or the youngest entity, I should say, the youngest being in the room, Caitlin, is not you. I won't be picking on you anymore. I discovered there's a chihuahua among us in a bag. But I knew she was coming all along. This chihuahua attends all of our satsangs in the city, in her bag, and she meditates. And she's the quietest being in the room. We once had a huge dog come to the Jiva Mukti Center where we were holding our programs. It was a cross between a Saint Bernard, I think, and a German Shepherd, a very big dog. Was so lovely. loved meditation, would put his head down on his paws and only turn his head when someone disturbed him, just looking over there, coming back, never barked. Lucy only barked today because a cat came in to the dining room, and Lucy did not approve of that. But Lucy is the youngest in the group. Caitlin is older. However, what's being learned today, what's being heard today, and it will stay with you, Caitlin, I know. Because I know you're like a sponge, you're absorbing everything. I congratulate. I wish we could make exceptions to that rule about children, but it wouldn't seem fair. But there are some children who are not children. They fortunately have the innocence of children and the beauty of children. But when they hear these teachings, it doesn't matter if they're 2 or 12 or 15. Those teachings are falling upon ancient souls. Many of us here, even when we were children, you remember that you felt different. I don't even have to ask you, because over the years I've met thousands of you, and when I have asked, how many of you felt or knew you were different? I'm going to ask, I love to ask. How many of you felt or knew you were different from the other children around you? Sure you did. Why? If you could talk, you would shout it out. Because I was different. See? We've had everything at this silent retreat except that. That's the first time that has happened. And who went out to take care of it? Divya Shakti. She said, I don't know what my duties are, but anytime there's something wrong, I'll take care of it. I don't know what she'll do with that. See? We could be annoyed with that. We could say, I don't know, this silent retreat, there was a curse on this silent retreat. Poor Divya Shakti. She's putting on her shoes now, which means it's serious. And she's running now. Poor thing. Poor thing. Okay, let's see if we can focus even with that going on. Think of that as another fly, you know? This is wonderful. It's a great test for us. If you're laughing now, it means this retreat has been a success. If you're crying now, come next weekend. I'll talk to you. Oh, and I didn't want anyone else to leave.
Did anybody have... Oh, never mind.
Oh,
Take
good.
care.
You know, someone might have walked out thinking it was her car. But it was interesting. As soon as she came, it stopped. As soon as she started walking, it stopped. Like the baby was crying for its mommy. As soon as she started on its way. Listen, when Divya Shakti comes back, let's applaud. That'll make her happy. If she comes back, that might have been the last blow. As soon as she comes back, remember to applaud. She'll like that. All right, now, he says, she's coming. She's coming. Wait. We like to have a little fun at the ashram. After the ordeal, she may have gone to the bathroom. I don't know. Okay. He said, whatever happened, I would turn away my attention from it and remain with the sense, I am. That's what I wanted to say. That it doesn't matter if we're Caitlin's age or Lucy's age, any age. Your sense of I am is exactly today what it was when you were a child. Your sense of yourself. Nobody has that. I know when I tap into my own sense of I am, I'm amazed to see what a contrast there is between that feeling and what I see in my bathroom mirror. I feel like you, Caitlin. I have great fun with Caitlin. The only one I really played with this weekend was Caitlin, because we had some fun together. Because in our hearts, when we get rid of all those memories and all those hopes and expectations, we're free again. We're innocent again. We can sing and dance and play again. Why not? It's these other people who keep telling us, oh, you've aged or changed. They don't say we got older. They say, oh, you've changed, you know. I didn't remember you. You know, were you always this short? I said, no. It's a recent occurrence. I was 6'1". So here's, if you have a question about the mind that's in there, I chose this reading before I read your questions. This has been for a week now, sitting in my folder waiting to come, because I read it and liked it and thought it was very powerful. This is what he's asking you to do with your restless minds. Just turn away from all that occupies the mind. Do whatever work you have to complete, but avoid new obligations. Did you hear that? Do whatever work. Oh, Divya Shakti. That's all right, enjoy it. Enjoy it. It was for taking care of the car. Oh, but you did. The car saw you were coming. It's all that was needed. We love Divya Shakti. Okay. I'll say it again because it's one of my credos. Turn away from all that occupies the mind. Do whatever work you have to complete. That means whatever actions, whatever responsibilities, whatever obligations we have. We all have those. Do whatever work you have to complete in this lifetime, but avoid new obligations. Avoid them. You may not be able to. They may come upon you unexpectedly, and there's nothing you can do. New obligations. But try to avoid them. Don't look to become attached. It's a very big statement, because some of us are still feeling unfulfilled. Some of us are still looking for someone who will complete us. Nobody can do that, because I'd love to ask you, who knows the answer? Who will finish the sentence? Don't finish the sentence today. Other Saturdays you can. Nobody can make us complete because we are already complete. Two people went, already complete. They can't help but answer, because they know this. Nobody can give you happiness. Why? Because we're already capable of being happiness itself. We just have to get this old way of thinking out of the way. Turn away from it. Has it done you any good to keep thinking there's something or someone outside who's going to make you complete, going to bring you happiness? That's for yogis, for seekers, that's the biggest invitation to unhappiness. Thinking that I should reach out and find somebody, and it doesn't matter how much karma he or she comes with, As long as she loves me, he loves me, I'll take care of that karma. 2 weeks later, I don't know, you have so much baggage. But why we moved in that direction in the first place is because we're still holding out hope that there's something, someone out there that's going to help me. We can have help. You might ask why I'm married so long. In the beginning, we both had the thought, I found someone perfect for me. Everything I needed, she will give me. Everything I need, he will give me. And what happened? We found we were both looking for the perfect person because we thought we were not perfect ourselves. So we went through ups and downs a little bit, and then we met Sri Brahmananda and heard these teachings, and suddenly stopped bothering one another for the most part. You know, Guruji's mantra that he gave to everybody is very secret. He would whisper it in your ear, and then we found out everybody had the same mantra. What was it? He says, you repeat 108 times a day, mind my own business, mind my own business, mind my own business. Because what was the business? Look at his face. Look what a humor he had. You know, you can look at that face and know that he's still here. He's still working through all the teachers. If Karana's voice is sweet, it's because he's working through her. If my voice seems to be the voice of wisdom, it's Gurji's voice. I don't fool myself. But he knew what our problem was. What was our business? Finding out who we are. Finding out what's causing our suffering. Finding out, am I the mind? Am I the body? Am I the senses? We are very busy, or we should be, with just that. Not worrying about others' business. That who wants to take on that headache? Figuring out other people and why they said this and why they didn't say that. Too big a headache. You don't need that. Get rid of it sooner than I did. Took me years, because I had a very powerful mind that was sure if I relied on it, it would get me out of the problems. Do you think that, Caitlin? Do you think you should just rely on your mind? Say no, make me happy. No, I didn't mean to say it, I just meant to. Because you've been listening, and this makes perfect sense. Our son was only 6.5 when he came here, and Sri Brahmananda immediately had him reading from I Am That and other things for the adult program on Sunday. And he said to our son, Brett, he said, if you come to a word that you can't pronounce, say it anyway, because you may be right and Webster might be wrong. He said to our son, you may be right and Webster may be wrong. And so he would read with total conviction that he was right. And he read with great understanding because, of course, Gurji's force was behind it. But that's what gave us an appreciation for the souls that inhabit these bodies. Who knows how old we really are? That's why we shouldn't worry about the age of the body. That's nothing. That has no meaning for us. Just turn away from everything that occupies the mind. Do whatever work you have to complete, but avoid new obligations. Keep empty. Remember that statement we heard, the value of emptiness. And here's another one. Keep empty. Keep available. Resist not what comes uninvited. It is Don't invite trouble, because that is the way to add on new attachments, new responsibilities, new karma. But at the same time, don't resist what comes uninvited. What comes uninvited is there to bring us up, to enlighten us, to help us grow. What comes uninvited. And that includes the so-called bad things that happen. Came uninvited, welcome them. Welcome them. Ah, I was falling asleep, becoming bored, too content. Glad to see you. Do your worst. I want to practice on you. I want to see when I leave you, can I just dismiss you like that fly that was bothering me? You didn't go home thinking about the fly. If you did, please see me after this program. But you shouldn't have gone on thinking how bad that fly was or how bad that person was. Brush that person away as you did them. The flies were my greatest gurus this weekend. They tested me, they taught me. It was wonderful. All right, now, in the end, you reach a state of non-grasping, of joyful non-attachment. In the end, if you keep at this day after day, brushing away the thoughts that are disturbing, turning away from them, in the end you reach a state of non-grasping, of joyful non-attachment, of inner ease and indescribable freedom. You reach that state of inner ease and freedom indescribable, yet wonderfully real. A final question I'll take today, and then I'll look at your questions. Questioner, when a truth seeker earnestly practices his yoga, does his inner guru guide and help him, or does he leave him or her to their own resources, just waiting for the outcome? Listen to the answer. Maharaj, everything happens by itself. Neither the seeker nor the guru does anything. Things happen as they happen. Blame or praise are apportioned after the sense of doership appearing. So he's saying that the seeker cannot do anything, and the guru knows not to do anything. The guru simply is. There's no effort involved. Things happen as they happen. There's a whole law of cause and effect that is affecting everybody in the room as a group. Your karma, your karma, your karma affects my karma, your karma, your karma. This is group karma. We are sitting in an ashram that has ashram karma. We watch that too. The wise ones just watch. They don't react to bad things or good things, so-called, happening. We're just watching. Because sometimes, most times, it's the gurus with their thought force creating some chaos just so we learn from it. Who are we to say what the cause of it is or what the result of it should be? We let things happen by themselves and we just watch. We just watch. Last weekend I read from talks, Sri Ramana Maharshi's talks, and he was being interrogated in court about some legal matter regarding the ashram, and he was an enlightened being. He was in his own state all the time. So someone was questioning him, a lawyer was questioning him, saying, "Are you attached to this ashram?" And he said, "Ashram? What ashram?" He said, "What ashram do you belong to?" He said, "I belong to the Ati ashram, which is ashram beyond the fourth states." They took another line of questioning. They said, well, there are people here who call themselves your disciples. What if some disciples came who, created a problem for you? He said, oh, if things are not agreeable, I would just go away. That's all. They wanted him to say he would send them away or insist that they leave. That wasn't his way of looking at life. If life happened that his ashram suddenly became impossible, bringing more harm than good, I would just go away. I would leave. And he said, if things were not agreeable, I would go away. After a while, they just lost interest in questioning him because he was answering from a Vedantic point of view. That's what is the meaning of everything happens by itself. Things happen as they happen. Blame or praise are apportioned later, after the sense of doership appearing. He's saying we don't make anything happen, and we don't make anything stop happening. They come and they go. All we can do is watch the coming and going, and even watch the coming and going of our judging and our condemning and our praising or blaming. That's what we do after the event. We should stop that. It's a very bad habit. If we have to concentrate on any bad habit, that is the underlying cause of all our bad habits. It's the tendency to think and to judge, instead of just looking into with an open mind the cause of that and the significance of that for me. I'm the dreamer. That dream is for me. Sometimes it's a pleasant dream, sometimes it's an unpleasant dream. But who is labeling that? The dreamer? We don't label a dream unpleasant if we're really dreaming, do we? It's just a dream. We're in the dream, we're out of the dream. In the morning, what happens? Oh, did I have a bad dream? Oh, we weren't saying that while we were dreaming. Not at all. Oh, there's so much to tell from these teachings, but I want to stop to see if, with that short reading, that's only maybe 30 lines, that's all, maybe less. I imagine that some of your questions might have been answered, because your questions were very complicated. The few that I read only 2 or 3. If you hear the beginning of your question and feel that it's been answered, raise your hand. In other words, if you hear, last night you spoke of feeling, has this question been answered? Is your hand up? Oh, I can't see because of the light. Your hand is up, so I don't need to answer it? Good. See? That's how it happens. But I'll read it later, and if I think I left out something, I'll email you, okay? That's nice. It was about the topic of rejection. You're going to find that a lot was covered by this so-called uneducated guru, Maharaj Sri Nisargadatta. Let's see how much work he saved us. This is interesting. Can you offer words of wisdom? Anybody would not want me to read that? If you see something I can't see, point. Everybody's okay? Okay. Because this hasn't to do with the mind. In a way, of course it does. Can you offer words of wisdom for the sadness of children growing up and leaving home? Are you talking about the sadness of the child or the mother? I'll talk about both, I guess. Can you offer words of wisdom for the sadness of children growing up and leaving home? I guess it's for the parents. Their experience sadness of children growing up. That wasn't you, Rachel, was it? No, but you're smiling. Rachel has one of the most beautiful children I've ever seen, and her name is Sailor. I said, what does it mean? Sailor, I thought it was a Sanskrit word, and Rachel said it means sailor. And she's darling. So, Rachel, you could be one of those mothers, but again, what about the sadness of a guru passing on? At least children going away, as we went away, when we reached that age, we left our parents. We weren't concerned about this question. Not very much. Once we got to college or had our own apartment, only occasionally did we remember that our parents were sad. But now that we're the parent, we're holding on to that. We keep the room the same as it was. We don't take the toys out. And the man is 57 years old now. Not me, I don't do that. But he's not even 57. What is causing? We always have to look at the cause. What's the cause of the sadness? And that's why I like to have dialogues with you. Because you know, even the questioner knows. What is the cause of the sadness? The sadness is you think another happiness of yours is leaving you. Another pleasure of yours. Another part of your life that gave it meaning is being lost. But in India, they do one of two things in India. See, my guru is telling me what to say. The fly is circling. In India, if they liked the son or daughter that was getting married, they built an extension to their home for him, her, and the family. These houses in India, they go on and on and on. The grandchildren are there, the children are there. If they don't care for the son or the husband, they go to their guru and they say, please protect him, but far away. It's like Fiddler on the Roof. May he be wonderfully happy, but far away. Because they have the same problem we do. True parents, number one, understand right from the beginning these are not our souls. We don't hold on to them. We didn't want ourselves to be held on to by our parents. We wanted to go and discover the truth of our lives. In those days, the truth was on a low level. But we were headed for this kind of understanding, what we're getting now. This was important to us. And furthermore, what we learned when Sri Brahmananda left his body, who is to say they're away from us? Just because their bodies are away. There's not a single day I don't have my focus on Guruji. Not a single day. Morning meditation or some problem comes up and I think, well, what would he have done? What did he say to do? It's all there, all 30 years of listening to him, of being with him, watching him. Karuna, is it the same for you? Is there any day you don't have that connection to Guruji? You don't feel it?
I don't think so.
I know not, because you wouldn't look that way, you wouldn't sound that way if he were away from you. You're not always aware of it. It's like asking you, Karuna, are you always aware of having your liver with you? She said, I think I'm, you know. Because He's such an integral part of our lives. We're not always aware of what's going on in this body. But I know, I speak to him silent language, to my Guru, every day, because he made life easier. He makes life easier. I remember how he dealt with problems. I remember how he dealt with an aging body, how he dealt with an ill body, a body that had a stroke and 5 heart attacks. That's the energy he was putting out all those years. But he would always be the first to tell you, I didn't have a stroke. What are you depressed about? You didn't have a stroke, I didn't have a stroke. Body had a stroke. I'm taking care of it. I occasionally take it to a doctor, and the doctor will help me. But that wasn't just cute talk. He meant it. He was the same powerful force after the stroke of his body as before the stroke of his body. Oh, it's getting time. So if you go to the cause, you find that it's only because you're feeling that another one of your attachments is going, another one of your pleasures is going, if that child represents a pleasure for you and causing sadness. But once you realize, and all the words in the world won't help you. Anytime anybody leaves you, not just a child, we've all had the experience of loss of some kind. Words will not help you. That's why I'm not going to dwell too long on this. What will help you is your direct experience of witnessing, of seeing that anybody can leave you. It doesn't matter, because when you tap into the center of your being, you find happiness uncaused there.